All right, hello, welcome back again. Hopefully your lunch was good, you've learned a few things in trivia, and now we're ready to just have a nice conversation with everybody. So this is one of my favorite parts of Work Truck Exchange. It's our Leading Fleets panel. This is where I get a chance to bring up a few of our board members from our Work Truck Editorial Advisory Board, and we stop talking at you and start talking with you and with each other. So I want to make sure that everybody knows I want you to interrupt. I want you to ask questions. If we say anything and you want some follow-up, please have a conversation with us today as we go along, okay? Joining me today are 4 members of our Editorial Advisory Board, as well as simply people I deeply, deeply respect. So we've got Amy McAdams with Diebold Nixdorf. She is a member of NAFA's Board of Directors, led fleets of just about every single size. And across all of that, she's built centralized fleet models, cut costs, strengthened partnerships, and brings a lot of heart to this industry. And her perspective, I think, absolutely resonates. So really excited to have Amy here with us today. Next to Amy is Bob Adamsky. Today he serves as Senior Director of Fleet at AWP Safety. Over his career, he has led fleets in landscaping, service, and safety industries. He is also somebody that I consider one of my first friends in the fleet industry. One of the first people I got a chance to really connect with and communicate with, and has been here since that day. So for all the new folks in the room, again, those relationships absolutely last. And another person who absolutely has all of my respect. If there's one thing he's known for, it's building programs that are both compliant and practical with a sharp eye on performance and safety. So that's why we got Bob up here today. Thank you. And next to Bob, we've got Kevin Ryder, who keeps changing company names. So now he is the role of Vice President of Fleet Operations at Best Trash after leading fleets with United Site Service, Century Construction Group, and others. He's got more than 20 years of experience in asset management, compliance, strategic leadership, and has seen fleet operations from just about every angle and is always looking at things from a bigger picture. So we've got Kevin up here to share his inspiration and details with us today. And then last but certainly not least, I've got Mikhaila Baldwin with us on the stage. This is our first time having her chat with us. She's spent the past decade leading fleets. While might be a new face for some of us, she's not new to the industry in any way, shape, or form. She's really proven herself in the details, balancing budgets, managing vehicles, and keeping drivers supported while stepping into the bigger picture challenges of strategy and growth. Her perspective is because she straddles 2 worlds. She's seasoned enough to speak with authority, but still close enough to some of those early years to understand exactly what it takes to establish yourself and understand this insane industry we have. So those are the 4 that I've got here who are gonna share some insights. Again, I would love it if you guys ask questions as we go along, follow up on stuff. This is a conversation with everybody in this room today, okay? So with that, this is not a gripe session, but we are going to talk about some challenges, all right? We're going to start with the challenges that we don't always talk about. We're going to start with some tough stuff. We're going to try to keep it constructive. I would love it if each of you could share one challenge you've faced recently that you think the other side, the suppliers that might be in this room, might not always see or understand. So, Kevin, I'm going to start this one with you.
Sounds good. First, we're going to make sure my supplier's not here. Now, in all seriousness, and I'll preface this, that it's not like a new supplier coming in trying to earn business, but existing suppliers that don't understand my business. They want to come in, they want to take the scripted, here's what it does, here's what we can do for you, and try to pigeonhole it into what I do day to day. So, it's been a struggle at times. A positive with that is, some of the suppliers that have taken time to come out and spend some time and learn the business, we have great relationships. But I think there needs to be a little more focus on that piece.
That's some good input. Amy, what about you?
I have to agree with Kevin. Every fleet is different. When we're looking at our suppliers, whether it's upfitters or supplier vendors and other markets, you want to understand our business and not try to put our square peg into your round hole. You need to understand our square peg and create a square peg that fits with what we're trying to do. On top of that, I think, and I think this is everybody that's going to have this problem for the next couple of years, is the tariff mitigation issue. You know, we need, from a procurement standpoint, from a procurement perspective, I'm asking my suppliers to be transparent on the tariff impacts of the products that we're buying, because that way I can go back to my leadership and show them where it is I'm able to mitigate tariffs if possible. So that's my current issue.
Awesome. Bob.
So I'm going to take a little different approach. I'm going to call it data overload. I think today we have so many great companies that are building so much good data information. But what are we going to do with it? How are we going to use it? It's great that we're getting it, but to understand how we can use it, when I have time to use it, the people to use it, I think that's an area that we're doing great with local capture, but how are we going to use it? And most important, how do we use it to influence change? Because for us just to give data to a manager or somebody else and say your driver X, Y, Z, that's not changing anything.
Right.
So data we have, but how do we use it? How do we leverage change? Because especially as you grow in a very large fleet like we are right now, I'm going to 200 locations. I don't know my drivers, almost 10,000 drivers. But we got to do something to influence that change. And data is good, but don't understand just because this report looks really good that your company's building, it's truly useful in that form for everybody. It might work great for a 100-trip fleet, where the fleet manager is safety and compliance and everything. But as the companies get bigger, it's broken into different departments. How do you use that data properly?
And it's not a new problem. I think almost 20 years ago, one of my first articles I wrote was about the problems of data overload and how to deal with all of the data coming in from telematics and everything else. So it's not something that's new. It's definitely been a challenge for a while. Yeah. Mikhaila.
So I have a little bit of a different example, and it's probably weirdly specific. But we switched telematics providers this year to integrate with in-cabin and forward-facing event recorders. And while we all knew that driver adoption would be a challenge, we found a cultural challenge, like internally, that we didn't think about. So we know our supplier didn't think about it either. And what we encountered was specifically that a group of drivers in one of our branches had immigrated from a country that was a dictatorship and took a very different dislike to the dash event recorders because they saw it as a surveillance tool. So we had to go back and reframe everything, go back and redo our timeline for implementation, and redo all of our training materials, which our supplier did help us do. But they didn't anticipate this either. They also didn't anticipate the need for having bilingual training materials that we discovered that we needed specifically for this. So I would say from like our perspective, and something that suppliers may not understand is that no fleet is the same, as we've already said, and you can't put us all into the same box, but you also can't put all of our drivers even within our organization in the same box, because we're going to have different subsets of things, and consider that as you're going through, consider cultural reasons and cultural objections to your technology.
It's very important in a growingly diverse world, I think, to make sure we're taking that into consideration. Other fleet managers in the room, is there anything that you guys want to add while we've got some of the suppliers and our industry partners in here that weren't discussed by anybody up here on stage, or anything you want to follow up with while we've got you? I think you guys covered a lot of it. All right, so we complained for a second. We talked our challenges. We're going to flip that script, and we're going to think back to a partnership or a moment that actually went better than expected, something that really surprised you while you were going through. And we're going to talk about what made that work. So, Amy, I'm going to start with you on this one.
So I'm new to Diebold. I've been with the organization for 14 months. I took over the North American fleet, which is US and Canada, approximately 2,500 vehicles. And there was no replacement plan. There was no understanding of the whole order to delivery process with an upfit in the middle and what that all entails, from nuts to bolts, from what do we call it? From conception of the idea all the way through to delivery of the vehicle to the driver. And so in that process, I brought, just use best practices. The stuff that you learn along the way that says this is the right way to do things. Well, I came in and said, this is the right way to do things. This is the way we need to do it. And I impressed upon the organization to not just buck the change, but trust me on this. And so we went from, and I'm going to sing this as one of my biggest success stories, is we went from a fleet where we had vehicles that were ordered in March of 2024, and anybody who sat with me at the table in the last 24 hours will hear this story again, sorry. Vehicles we ordered in 2024 are just, and had the upfit, are just now being delivered. So that's kind of a lot of days. I ordered 500 vehicles in January, and because of the relationships that I have built over the 15 years with OEMs and upfit partners, I have some vehicles that were ordered, built, upfit, delivered on the road in less than 120 days. And my organization was like, how did you do that? And I said, that's what you hired me for, this is just best practices. If we build this the right way, this is what we can get. And so we're seeing the fruits of my 15 years of labor and relationships with some of the partners in the room or other partners out in the industry, and how well that works. And I think that you have to really focus on the basics sometimes to get the biggest wins, and that's where I have been focused this year. And so I think that answers your question.
No, that does. I think, again, it is those relationships we've built. The faces, when somebody just sees a name on an email, it's one thing, but when they remember your face, when they know the person who's sending them that email, there is a different response that you're going to get, maybe faster, maybe a little bit more helpful, but I think it really shows the value of relationships that you're building with those partners and that they're truly partners.
And part of that, one little added little piece, and the reason I say tariff mitigation and tariff disclosure from the upfit partners and any vendors, is that during this process, one of those relationships that I built, when the tariffs started to become an issue, we knew they were going to become an issue. I went to my upfit parts supplier in March, and I said, what can you do? They agreed to fast track the production of our product that was being built in Canada and ship it across the US before the tariffs went into place, saving me $650,000.
Wow.
So that's why these types of events and any industry events, it's really important to make sure you have a really good relationship with your upfit partners and them understanding your business and you understanding their processes so that you can work to solve some of these problems before they become a major problem. And in my case, I got to save almost $1 million. So there you go.
That's a good partnership that worked out. I love it. We're going to go ladies first on this one. So Mikhaila, what about you? What was a partnership or moment that went better than expected?
So I'm going to start this off by saying that the one constant thing Pulses is really good at is change. So we've done a lot of changes in the past year with, we call telematics provider and event recorders. We also changed fleet management companies. And this one was really important because when we were in the RFP process and we were looking at partners that would work for us, there was a lot of trying to shove us into the box they already had. And not so much of the trying to understand our operations. So I'll say from my perspective, when we did make a selection, that they worked very hard to understand our organization, to look at our structures, to look at what our challenges were, to look at our growth plans, and really work with us as a partner and extension of ourselves, rather than just trying to sell a service or sell a product. And I think that's what really makes a true partnership, is when you have those full understandings, and that's what really highlighted it for me in that relationship of something that went really well, is they took that time, they paired that communication with a deep understanding of the industry, and that made our relationship better.
Can you share that FOC?
I will share that with you afterwards. I can share that on stage.
Good questions.
I'm interested as well.
Everybody, pull Mikhaila aside later for some more specific details. Kevin, what about you?
Well, nice win, Amy, by the way, 650K.
Thank you.
So I'm going to kind of go back to my original statement about the challenges, right? So there was a particular supplier, we got on board with, and everything was going great. Through conversation one day, we said, hey, let's go have a site visit. So they brought in account reps, they brought in VP of customer, they brought in people from the product team, they brought in the CEO. And we spent the day on site, crawling all over the trucks and talking about the business and what's the challenges and the gaps that we still experience, even using the system. So they were able to take that information back and put a lot of this on the product roadmap. So fast forward, I changed companies, as Lauren pointed out, So I've got the same product at my new company. And before I even landed there, I was getting phone calls saying, hey, we're so excited to take this business and help you get it to where it needs to go, and here to support you. So even the development team, they still reach out, they pick my brain. I called last week on, hey, try this out and tell us what you think, and give us feedback, and how can we make it better. And of course, we get on those calls and I start swirling and throwing all these other ideas out, and they're frantically taking notes. But it's been good, for a supplier that truly wants to help shape the product to support me in my business.
I think that it's the concept of the reverse relationship. It's very important for you guys to have the relationship with the suppliers, but it's just as important for those relationships to come back the other way, because you might be at a company now that might not need a solution or not need it in the same way, and move to another company that does, and having that connection and that relationship right away can go a really long way. Bob.
Vendor scorecards. Vendor scorecards is to help, what we use to help divide up the work. Number one, kind of a level playing field. What it ended up doing for us was it gave us more clarity on just the quality and the timing. And that has rolled into better support for our business units of saying how many trucks will be ready each month, each quarter, projecting it out more. Where it used to be that we just took for assumption that XYZ upfitter was going to have these done in what length of time. But truly putting things on a scorecard, but most important, the scorecard was sitting down with these three individual vendors and agreeing to a scorecard. What fits the best, not just dictating, hey, we want you to do this, but tell us what you will do and by when. And it ended up being that we can do a better projection to our own, support our own business units of what's coming out. So again, it was kind of meant just to level the playing field, but it ended up being that we could actually support our business units better.
So, it's been communication, both directions, it sounds like. Trust in the people you're talking to, and going that extra mile, I think. Again, both ways, and making sure that you're providing people the information about your operation you need, and that they're digging in and trying to understand what you're doing as well, kind of being those bonds that help. Anybody else in here have anything that they've had a relationship that they did, a partnership that was really successful, anything they wanted to share? Quiet group. I'm used to you guys being, oh, Al, thank you. Al. Hi.
When I came on board where I am right now in San Diego Humane Society, they had just contracted with a local company to move a kennel body from an old truck to a new truck. And I don't know what discussions happened before I came in there, but it doesn't matter. When I got there, I went and visited this supplier, and we talked, and I understood what their limiting factors were. Long story short, it took them over a year to refurbish the kennel bodies and get them moved from one truck chassis to another, which was really a disturbing situation. And I let them know just how disturbing the situation was. But what I did was I turned around and I gave them a chance to redeem themselves. And I gave them an opportunity to move kennels from a van into a new van. And they did that in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So they redeemed themselves, and they're getting a lot more of my business now because of that. Because they like us, because we pay our bills, I guess. And we like them because they do good work. They really do good work.
And so it was a chance, instead of just throwing that relationship away and saying, you didn't do it, you can't do it, let's communicate, let's see what's going on, and give you that chance to do better and to earn our trust back, which probably makes them work a little harder when they're trying to earn your trust, right?
Yeah.
No, I love it. Anything else anybody wants to share before we move on? Ken, want to just have a conversation with you guys, so. All right. Okay, we'll keep talking at you then. Okay. So, looking ahead together, we're going to look forward now. If you're thinking about the next few years, aside from the word uncertainty, I think, which is probably what everybody could say, what do you need most from the other side of the table to succeed? From our partners, from your media reference, from us that are editors writing about stuff, what do you guys need to succeed? So, Bob, let's start with you this time.
Reality, just truth, reality. And I think that's what builds our best relationships, is having those honest discussions, either good or bad. Continue to just speak the truth. If you don't know, just say you don't know. That's it, and stop. Yeah. But that's where we're going. We just need, in the world of just change and unknown cost, give us your best reality.
I like that. I was listening to something the other day, and it was, there's facts and there's truth. Mm-hmm. Right? It could be two very different things. Kevin, what about you?
I think the biggest one, I'm an old guy, so I've been in this for a minute, and I've got some very good relationships across suppliers. Not always at the same company, they move around, but I move with the relationship. So I need those guys to not retire. I need you all to hang on for about another 5 more years, right? I really agree with Bob on this one, that, we just need the open and honest lines of communication. The world shifted. I was telling somebody this morning, I hate that people are still throwing around the COVID excuse. We're many years past that. Let's move on from it. A new reality was created post-COVID, and everybody's still hanging their hat on that. Let's get back to the way it used to be. Let's have good relationships, open, honest discussion. If I chew you because you did something as a supplier, it doesn't mean we can't still have that relationship and go have a drink or something. It's not personal.
Amy, what about you?
I have to agree with Bob.
That is rare.
It's rare. The truth and being open and honest with us about the real world situation is very important. But one step farther than that, if I'm asking for something that is unrealistic, because I will, I'm gonna push that envelope as far as I can go, right? If I'm asking for something that is unrealistic or that you haven't done before, don't be afraid to tell me that I've never done that before, but let's see if we can figure out a creative way to solve this. Because I can assure you that if I'm asking for it, there are 50 other people in my situation that just haven't asked for it. So it may be giving you an opportunity as a supplier, or even as another fleet manager, an idea on a way to, and I'm talking very generalistic right here, right? But it may give you an opportunity to either for suppliers an additional revenue stream, or is it going to solve a pain point that everybody has, that everybody thinks is just unsolvable? Everything is solvable. We just have to come up with a creative way to do it. And that's, just be open and honest, and let's work together for some of these pie-in-the-sky ideas, because some of them are.
I want to say it's Amazon that says every time you come into the office, you need to think about a problem your customers don't know they have.
Exactly.
And that's how you innovate and survive. So what do fleets not even realize are a problem that they're dealing with every day that's just become status quo and the norm, and well, this is a part of the job, right? There's, I think, a lot of solutions that can be found on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mikhaila?
I really agree with all the honest, open communication comments, but I would say four key things that we should keep in mind: transparency, predictability, communication, and quality. Transparency in your pricing, because we all know that fleet budgets are stretched. We're being asked to do more with less every single day, which is such a fun game to play. We know that inflation is a thing, and tariff pricing, so we won't harp on that, but predictability and how we are going to model that and how we can work together to mitigate those damages. And looking at a communication standpoint, obviously I can't fix a problem that I don't know is a problem, so if there is one, just tell me so that we can level set with the fields, and we can find a solution. We can find a solution together. I can find one without you, but I'd rather work together. And obviously quality that remains a non-negotiable, because when the quality is not there and there's breakdowns in the system, those could be safety issues that impact our drivers. And at the end of the day, my number one concern is making sure every single driver that goes out on the road for my company comes back home in the same condition or better than when they left.
That's the goal of all of us at the end of the day, right? So up to this point, I've asked you guys a few questions that I sent you in advance.
Now we're gonna wing it.
But now, I have a quick question that I did not give you guys any time to think about beforehand. So, like I said, I've been writing about fleet and talking about fleet for almost 20 years now. And many of you know another named Erin Gilchrist, a very wonderful, wonderful woman. Her and I have a passion and a goal, and it is to have somebody come up to us one day and say, I wanted to be in fleet when I grew up. Whether it was I want to be a fleet manager, her and I are determined we cannot stop and stop doing what we're doing until we have somebody come up and say, I actually knew about fleet. I wanted to be in fleet in one of the hundreds of different jobs and careers that are out there. So, well, we got a challenge. Mechanics and maintenance automotive shops are starting to decline. Interest from the younger generation in automotive maintenance mechanics is starting to decline. How do we grow our industry with the younger generation or those who are looking for career changes that might not be aware that this is here? What can we do, and how can we grow our industry so that someday Erin and I can retire and we can have somebody tell us, I wanted to be a fleet manager when I grew up? Amy.
So I'm working on the 7-year-old that lives down the street from me.
Okay, so.
Every single, no, I'm serious. I've got a 9-year-old that lives next door to me who gets all my little, all my giveaways. Anything that's blue, I'll give it to the kid next door because he loves blue. And the kid who lives down the street, I tell him what I do. Let's face it, he may not be college material, okay? His mom says the same thing, so this is not a secret. But I keep telling him what I do, and his dad is like a home inspector. It's like, okay, well, he doesn't really want to climb in attics because it's too hot. I'm like, well, you like computers, you like playing on the computers, and you like cars, and you like all that stuff. I'm like, look, you don't have to fix the cars. You can just go, and I tell him when I go to meet the OEMs and I get to drive cars, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to do that. I'm like, yeah. I tell him how I talk to drivers and tell them how to be safe. And so now I know that when he's sitting in the back seat in the car seat, he's telling his dad, put your phone down because you're driving with your phone in your hand. And so I'm like, yes, he's going to be a safety man. and when he's going to the gas station and he tells his mom, don't forget to check the tires because Amy said to check your tires when you get your gas so you make sure you're getting your gas. And she's like, you have no idea what kind of influence you are. So I've got one. I'm working on one. I'm working on two. So, in all seriousness, I have a lot of younger nephews and nieces because I am a woman, and I think girls do things better, right? Yeah. All right, so, Amy. So, you don't have to agree with Bob. It's okay. But no, I try to encourage people to think outside the box, you know? Everybody can't be an accountant or a finance person or a you know, think of some other office job or warehouse managers. I'm like, yeah, fleet's kind of cool, you know? Once you get in, you can't leave anyway.
You know, I've had a couple of conversations about that today.
What did we say last year? It's kind of like Hotel California. Once you get in, you can't leave.
Yep.
Anyway.
I love it.
Sing the praise. You know, fight the fight and, you know, pass along the information. You never know when you're going to inspire that young mind.
Bob, what about you?
Great topic. You know, you not talk about this a little bit. It's actually one of the things I'm enjoying most about the point of my career. Man, just 30 years, long time, old man. But
Okay, children.
But I enjoy watching this next group come in. I really do. I enjoy that part. And what I've talked about fleet is you can either be the car person or the truck person or the equipment person, right? Something of interest. But one of the most exciting things about fleet is you have the ability to go build your own program, your own thing. Very rarely you're going to go to a company that has it all figured out. Let's be honest, right? But every one of us has a job. But think about the benefit of that. You get to go build something of your own. That's exciting. You get to call your program. It's your method. That's exciting. I just recently converted somebody from a dealership over to fleet, which you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
My daughter, right?
Yeah.
She said, Dad, finally made it to fleet. This is so much nicer. I don't have to do it to public anymore.
I've been trying to get Sam into fleet for years.
Yeah. But that's exciting. It's exciting to watch that. It's exciting that even our own company, we've started with mechanics on the next level of fleet maintenance supervisors. Who's interested in moving from that mechanic to a fleet maintenance supervisor? Because I have divisional fleet managers now. And that's a stepping stone to the fleet manager role. And they answer to the fleet manager. So we're developing our own bench. It's exciting to watch them go, yeah, if we did this, this truck will last longer, or it's cheaper, or this cost is this. And that's the part that I enjoy the most in my fleet career, is just watching that.
From grow and learn and succeed.
Yep.
I love it. Kevin, what about you?
Well, $100 bill, the person has this answer, right? There's no good answer. I've kind of taken a different approach the last 2 years, and instead of looking for fleet professionals or fleet people, I've taken people with good skill sets and tried to start teaching them fleet. Some have been successful, some not so much. Some just could never get that thing to click. But overall, it's been a good approach. You know, it really starts driving excitement, and those that are hungry want to learn more and more and more. On my departure from USS, I was actually able to promote 2 people that had zero fleet background when they came on board, and now both are in management roles now. So pretty successful.
It was at a NAFRA conference. Cedric was talking about Build-A-Bear when it comes to technicians. So we all have seen the Build-A-Bear at the mall. You go in, you choose your bear, you stuff it, you make it into exactly what you want. He said it is so much easier to build up a technician that has passion, that has interest, who wants to do a good job, than it is to find somebody who's got some skills but doesn't give a crap about what they're doing at the end of the day, right? And I'm lucky enough to say that happened with me in my career. My dad was a hot rod builder. I knew the difference between a V8 and an I4. I understood cars. I liked to read, but I didn't understand grammar, news writing, reporting, any of that. And so Bobbitt worked with me and helped me learn how to be a writer that knew about cars. And I had the passion, and clearly I'm still sticking around here for almost 20 years. And I think that passion does go a really long way. And if you can find that person who has that passion, it take a little bit more time to educate them on a few topics, but we've got events, we've got opportunities, a ton of really good magazines and publications that teach a lot about this stuff too, that I think can really help with all of that. I love it. Mikhaila.
So first off, I just say I want to be like a learning engineer when I grow up. I think they're some of the coolest people, especially in the fleet world, but just in general. I don't know if it's directly because of me, but I've worked, you know, with big age gap. One's a farmer, one was in HR, one is actually a small engine mechanic in the Navy, and the other works for a car dealership doing DMV paperwork. And she just said to me last week that she wants to stay in the automotive industry, she wants to stay in the fleet industry, and that I'm not gonna choke up or anything, but tell me that I'm an inspiration. So hearing that from your 19-year-old sibling is like,
Amy's prepared if you need.
I cried last.
So I mean, when you hear that, it's kind of amazing, and I don't feel like I'm an inspiring person in general.
Oh,
but
geez.
When you hear your
No.
sibling, you know, if you have teenagers, you know how they are. They don't like to express feelings or, you know, tell you that you're cool ever. So it was a pretty nice thing to hear my sister say that she looks up to me and that, you know, she wants to stay in the industry that she's in. She's, you know, she's available that way. But, yeah, building up the next generation I think is really important, and, you know, recognizing that college may not be the path for everybody, and trade schools are just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
And that's a totally viable option, and we shouldn't necessarily push teenage kids, you know, high school kids towards college if that's not the right path for them, and, you know, encourage them to look at other paths.
Yeah, I mean, we all know vocational and trade work is absolutely valuable. There's not just being a wrencher or a driver. There's so much more that goes into that, and just getting the experience, starting at the bottom, starting in the shop. You know, Bob worked on, you know, vehicles and worked in maintenance, and I think as a mechanic, and now leads thousands of vehicles from the top of the operation. So really showing that career path. Again, you can even write about it. You don't even have to manage it. You can write stuff and sit on stage and talk to really cool people for a while.
Add one more thing to that. So I have a young man in our department who come in just as general help, and he's taken over the telematics side of the business and the reporting. So just being that he's a computer kid in telematics, now he's into how much it affects the fleet and the mileage and the differences. So this has taken him and spawned him into something new that he really enjoys, the fleet side, based on just telematics. So it's just another case of path that can take you on.
Love it. Is Amy?
AI will never be able to turn a wrench.
There you go.
That is very true.
It will tell you that it can.
But it won't be able to turn a wrench.
Right. I mean, what is anybody else doing anything for outreach, help grow the industry, help communicate with schools, school programs, help spread the word of what we do as an industry?
Lauren, I actually forgot something.
Yeah.
The one constant closest has changed, as I said. I recently got to actually hire somebody into my department finally to help with fleet, which is amazing because I've been asking for 5 years. And I hired a fleet coordinator to help with our day-to-day admin tasks. She does not know anything about fleet when she started. This is her first office job, and I've never even met her, by the way. She lives in Washington State. But she's great, and she takes everything in stride, and I throw her into conference calls with me all the time, and I tell her ahead of time, you don't have to say anything. I just want you to be in the room. I just want you to be listening. I just want you to take notes, because if I'm going to go up, I want to take you up with me. I want you to learn these things so that, you know, you have this skill set too. I don't want to be the only one with it.
I love it.
Ted had a comment.
Yeah, so just about the path, the next generation. So at Schindler, we have intern programs every summer, of course. And the past couple years, traditionally, we actually go over each category that we manage. So obviously managing fleet, I try to turn it into like a cool category so that I can convert,
future, younger folks to take on the career, because, right now there's no degree in fleet yet, but, just making sure that this is a viable option for them as well. I mean, there's many paths towards it. I didn't go to school for fleet, I have an economics degree, right? So, I always like to wrench, I always do my own oil changes, I like to jazz, right? But I think, turning into a profession that younger people can really aspire to. So what I'm trying to do when I have the interns join us every summer. So that's kind of my little tidbit on that.
No, I love it. I mean, think about it. Where did we all come from? Who came from a maintenance mechanic background in this room? We've got Bob. Anybody else in here who came from maintenance mechanic before fleet, right? Okay, what about accounting, finance? Right? Just general administrative. There we go. I mean, we could probably list about every job out of business, and it has led its way to fleet for, the right people. And I think it's communicating and sharing and growing and making it the really weird rock star industry that it actually is that really, really helps. Anything else? Anybody else doing outreach or communication with groups? Yeah, over there.
I come from truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I've been in my company for 9 years. I've been beginning with the company like a truck driver, and then I continue growing up in the company. And the way I work with my mechanics, I got like a shop foreman, and I try to duplicate me in the shop foreman. And it's like it's more easy for me. And to be a fleet manager, you need to love this, because every day is something different. It's not the same every day, and that's the reason I love it, because you don't do the same every day. Every minute is something different. You got a problem here, but you need to resolve that problem. At the end of the day, you are the hero of the company, because you make the people work, and the production is still working, and you save the day. But you need to love it, and the way I do it is like I try to copy me in the shop foreman, and then they copy himself in the helpers, in the mechanics they got in there, and it's more easy for everybody just to share all that knowledge.
So finding those that work and kind of replicate something that you are and that your goals and everything are. I love it. So, I encourage everybody to continue to share that information. Find those younger people. I mean, I have a niece, and I ask her, so what are you going to be when you grow up? And she gets so angry because she has no idea. She doesn't. She's still trying to figure that out. And instead of asking her, what do you want to be when you grow up? I've shifted and started explaining, hey, did you know you could? When she says there's something she's excited about, did you know you could write about that? Did you know you could be in this position or this job? And instead of asking her what she wants, just kind of pushing that out there. So I highly encourage everyone, when you hear those young folks talking about, don't ask them what they want to be when they go, tell them. You want to be in fleet. This is what you want to do. So Aaron and I can retire one day. That would be really, really awesome. But until then, you're stuck with us for quite some time. So, okay. That was our conversation today. I really appreciate all of you. Amy, I didn't make you cry. I told you I wouldn't.
But you almost got Mikhaila.
I almost did. That one was an unexpected.
She got me.
Okay, there were tears in the room. Okay, that was a successful session, right? When somebody's getting emotional. Appreciate the heck out of you guys. Thank you so much for coming in here and hanging out with us. I think the big takeaway is this: challenges are real, but solutions come from those relationships. The more we understand each other, fleet or supplier or media or everybody in between, the better and the stronger that we all become together. So my challenge to everybody, go convince people to join fleet.